the script, or the playbook, you might call it. You know, like in baseball and gridiron and football and basketball, and everyone's got their plays, their setups, their who sets up the best layup, who sets up the best alley-oop, how, you know, who's gonna run through the key while someone runs around the key to set up the layup or the alley-oop, or who's gonna set up the rebound, who's gonna throw the purposeful air ball over the hoop to the dude that's coming through with the hook dunk. Yeah, my dad played basketball. I'm too short, but I know a little bit about plays. The script. I'll probably make it alright, coach. I can't teach you how to play. I'm bloody hopeless. I don't have the dexterity for basketball. I've got tiny hands and I'm short. But I know how to run around your legs and bite you on the nuts.
How's it going, folks? I hope you're well. I swear down, right, it's been raining in England for like 6 months now or something ridiculous like that. Now, I love weather, don't get me wrong, I couldn't live somewhere that's hot and sunny all the time. But it's getting a bit much. It's getting to the point, right, where I'm having to use drone footage that don't fit. This drone footage, right, that's from Rowsley up near Bakewell. I'm nowhere near Bakewell. But it looks nice, doesn't it? So I like putting it on anyway. So the UK government, it's kind of capitulating, isn't it? It's falling apart. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch, could it? That said, it's hard to celebrate, really. Because you know that whenever one of these goblins, you know, whether it be a politician or a leader or a, you know, I don't know, an advisor, a chief whip, whatever it is, whenever one of them walks, there's always another one coming along any minute. So it's hard to celebrate it, isn't it? But, you know, whatever. But then I look at it and I think, but is all this by design? Is this meant to happen? Because there is a uni party, folks. And I include reform in that in the United Kingdom. They're all part of this uni party. And so you have one government come in and do something for a bit.
Just while he's on that, just think about who's Pauline's mate, Nigel Farage. There's a playbook being played. There's a certain play, and it's played out perfectly in the UK, and they're playing the same thing here. You've got Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage for the reform. We've got Scott Challen and Pauline Hanson. It's exactly the same play. Stirring up the shit while someone sings our song and everybody else purposely throws himself under the bus and a whole bunch of people are jumping ship. What a beautiful script. United Nations, the World Economic Forum, purposely throws himself under the bus. You know that Donald Trump's about to throw himself under the bus, right? He's about outlived his usefulness. Have you noticed that it's so quick, so hard and so fast now, and it's not really so subtle and little incremental pieces? It's because it doesn't have to be now. We're so reactive and we're so divided. Now all it takes is the next fucking gronk to come and tell us what we want to hear. As long as they keep us engaged with them. They're trying so hard to keep us engaged with them. Have you noticed? It's what all the conflict's about. It's what all the in your face, we don't care. The more pissed off you are with us, the more you're going to protest and rally. The more you're going to be engaged with the game. It's a game, and that's just a play.
and then people have had enough of them, so they get rid of them. And the next party comes in, and they carry on the agenda, they just do a different part of it, like they get away with a different bit of it. As an example, you look at the Labour Party in the UK, and you look at them and you think, oh, they're hate speech laws and putting people in prison for tweets and having police turn up at people's addresses for non-crime hate incidents and all that kind of stuff. Labour, can't stand Labour. And I agree with you. But then you think, but non-crime hate incidents were brought in by the Conservative Party. And the online safety bill, the online harms bill, was chaired by Damien Collins of the Tory Party, the Conservative Party. And then you look at reform now and you see them pushing this whole Epstein was working for Russia nonsense. And you think to yourself, they're all in it together. But certain governments, certain parties, can get away. It's so muddy, look at the state of that. Certain parties can get away with certain things that others can't. So they have the party come in and push it. So, for instance, the Conservative Party wouldn't have got away really with the woke nonsense. So you bring Labour in to push all that woke nonsense. That stuff started under Tony Blair. And then you bring the Conservative Party in, and you kind of try and do a bit of an antidote to woke to a certain degree, nearly fell over then. But you still get some stuff in. And then you bring Labour back in to push something else. So, is this destruction of the Labour Party and the destruction of the current UK government part of ushering in reform? Now, I've spoken about this before. So, let's look at it this way. We're concerned about things like digital ID, universal basic income, the digital currency, the programmable CBDCs, 15-minute cities, all these things that are all being spoke about by the Labour Party, or even said they're going to be put into legislation by the Labour Party. Now we're concerned by them. Mainly people on the right, or would be perceived to be of the right. They're the ones that are standing up, speaking out against digital ID and against all of that stuff. So what about if this is just an idea of them looking at it and saying, okay, well, I'll tell you what we do. We'll get Labour to try and get in as much as possible. So we'll get Labour to try and push through the assisted dying bill. We'll get Labour to push through getting rid of trial by jury, for instance. So that's how we'll push that through. We'll get them to up as much mass immigration as they possibly can. But to be fair, it's not that much more than what Tories were doing with the Boris wave anyway. But we'll do that. But when it comes to getting over the finish line, we need consent for that. We need the people to agree to it. Now, these guys that are all opposed to digital ID and opposed to universal basic income and all this kind of stuff, they ain't going to agree to it from Starmer and from this Labour government. No chance. They won't have it. However, if it comes from their team, just look at the USA, folks, I know I've said it a bunch of times, if it comes from their team, they might just look the other way on it. They might just allow it. So all you need to do is tell them they're winning. And when I say about consent, I'm like lots of people have different theories as to why people need to consent to stuff. I mean, there's the basic one, which is there's more of us than there are of them. So we kind of need to agree to it. They can't steamroller over us. There isn't enough of them. That's obviously part of it. I also think there's another element to it. People think it's a karmic thing, that they have to tell you what they're doing, and if you consent to it, then, well, more for you then, mate. You deserve everything you get, basically. I wonder as well, if part of it is almost a test, and I know I spoke about that the other week in terms of the Epstein files, like it's testing us, like we're going to tell you what's going on, because then if you do nothing about it, well, that is your consent then. There's also the vampire element. Now, I might sound like totally mad, I get it. But you know the stories of the vampire. He's got to be invited across the threshold. Now, the thing about vampires and that sort of stuff, it sounds like it's a fictional character and it's a mythical thing, but if you went to any kid in any country on the planet, like you can go to some back-end area of Africa where they live in, I don't know, tiny little villages, they're not really connected to the outside world, and you asked a child in that village to describe a vampire, they would describe the same thing as a kid that lives in downtown New York. So there's something in it, whatever whatever it is, there's something in that. It comes from somewhere. You know, most myths are based on some kind of reality, basically. And obviously the story is with the vampire. Despite all their strength, they can't just step into your house and bite your head off. You need to invite them across the threshold. And once you've done that, like, you've had it, your dinner, mate. But you have to consent to that, you have to do that. And I think in a weird kind of way, there is that almost occult element to this, where the government need our consent. And as I say, Starmer ain't going to get it, and the Labour Party aren't going to get it. And I think now, those really in charge, behind these uni-party rosettes, they know that. And so they're probably thinking, right, Starmer's sort of probably served his purpose to a certain degree. Like, they've got a lot of stuff over the line. They've destroyed the country even more than the Conservative Party, if that was even possible, because they were appalling as well. But so they've got a lot of stuff. You know, they've handed off billions to Ukraine. They've done that. They've increased the debt. They've increased taxes and unemployment and immigration. Like, they've done a load of stuff. Now, in terms of getting that consent over the threshold, I don't think it's going to work. Like, I think people are going to say no to Labour. I think they're going to stand up to Labour. So we need to fool them into agreeing to it. Well, the best way to fool someone, it seems, with Trump being the prime example, is to tell them they're winning and tell them it's their side doing it. I saw it today even. Now, I've mentioned it before in terms of Trump, the fact that if, for instance, Jeffrey Epstein was saying that Joe Biden was his best mate of 10 years, MAGA would have been all over it. And if Joe Biden had gone into Venezuela and kidnapped the president, MAGA would have been all over it. And if Joe Biden, despite all the evidence of vaccine harms, had gone and just signed a brand new deal with Albert Bourla and Pfizer, MAGA would have been all over it. If Joe Biden was pushing billions into AI, MAGA would have been all over it. If Joe Biden had bombed Iran, MAGA would have been all over it. But they're looking the other way because it's our guy, right? Now, to evidence that, that's what I saw today. So there's this footage coming out of Australia, where the president of Israel, Herzog, is in Australia at the minute. He was on Epstein Island quite a bit actually, but he's not there anymore. He's in Australia now, and there's protests against him being there by pro-Palestinian people in Australia, and those protesters have had the living crap beaten out of them by the police. And there's all this footage come out of them, like literally just beating the living hell out of them. And one guy commented on a post I said about it. Because what they're doing, they're criminalising the term from the river to the sea. They're trying to pass that as hate speech in Australia. And so when I posted about that, some guy commented saying, well, because he's pro-Israel, the Australian police have gone up in my estimations now. And you're like, how short-sighted a view is that? As if they bring in these new anti-hate laws and they normalise the police beating the living daylights out of protesters, you're telling me they ain't going to do that to you, mate? Are you that important that they ain't going to bother doing it to you? Of course they're going to do it to you further down the line. Which is why we need to stick up for each other even if we disagree with each other. But it's a perfect example. That person was willing to look the other way on police brutality, easy for me to say, because it was the other side. He perceived that brutality being done by people that agreed with his viewpoint, right? And so, would that work, do you think? I hope not. But do you think that if they destroyed this Labour government and it was all down in curtains and a snap general election and Reform won that election, which I believe they would if it was to be taken today, and then that Reform government then went, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, but it's us doing it, so it's our side doing it. So, okay, yeah, maybe we will accept some kind of digital ID then. Is it just for immigrants? Well, yeah, maybe it will start that way, won't it? And okay, then I'll look the other way on that, and then maybe this, and then maybe that. And people will say, well, what about the infrastructure? That's the thing with the whole digital ID. What if, this is the question I'm asking for the whole video really, what if the whole dystopia is already built? Like, the digital ID infrastructure was built during COVID. Do you remember when they spaffed billions, so they said spaffed billions up the wall on track and trace? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They built the infrastructure. And they've just signed this massive deal, $290 odd million deal, £1 million deal even, with Palantir, in terms of the military. And you're like, yeah, and what else? What about domestic policy? What else are Palantir going to be involved in? So what if all this infrastructure for this dystopia that they want, the 15-minute cities, the universal basic income, the digital programmable digital currency, which controls where you can spend your money and what you can spend it on and all this, what if it's already there? What if it's already built? What if it's been built around us? Do you remember those essential workers putting up all those 5G towers when you had to stay in your own watching Bargain Hunt? What if all that was all part of building the infrastructure so it's ready to go? All it needs is our consent. And they don't believe that they can get our consent with this current government. So what if the next lot are going to be ushered in as a right-leaning government to appease those people that are generally opposing this dystopia, who are generally from the right? Not always, of course, but overwhelmingly from the right. What if that's the plan? And so if it's our side, not that I consider, I'm not right or left, I'm politically atheist. But what if that's the hoodwink? What if that's the play? And so while, saying goodbye to some of these arseholes in government is fine, it's a good thing, like goodbye, good riddance and all that sort of stuff. What if they're not really bothered because it's just another chess move, it's just slightly further down the line, slightly further down the game than we are looking. So we're looking in the present, but they're always 2 or 3 chess moves ahead. Thank you very much for watching.
So anyone that sees this, if you still think that Pauline Hanson and her cronies are an alternative, no. The only thing alternative about them is it's an alternative road to the same destination. And for those of you who think that being an atheist is going to save you from the Jews, think again. You're still goyim to them. You're pigs. You're animals. You're just... What do you think all these super courts are being built? The detention centres. You've got no idea what's coming, do you? And you want to fight over Israel and Palestine? You idiot. You want to join in with the cosplayers to turn a facade, a charade, into a real riot, into real protests. You're going to follow all these central casting people that have already set up camp for you at Parliament House. Once you cross that bridge, there's no coming back, right? Just let that sink in for a minute. You're going to Canberra. Once you cross that bridge, there's no coming back. You're a shithead panda. Been harassing me all morning like he wants to be one of my limbs or something. I'm covered in cat hair. I've got a bloody meeting to go to, shit fart. You may like that. You can have a main character moment now. Simba. It's all about infrastructure, isn't it? While all the shit's going on, there's always infrastructure being built. Things are getting passed. Nobody's... people have had their chance to object. No, we haven't. You don't turn up to the meetings. Just stand us up. You say you're coming, people come along, and you don't show. But you have a liaison officer who's writing down what we want to talk about and giving it to you a week prior to turning up. Marinus I'm talking about. Marinus is all about infrastructure. It's all about data infrastructure. And It's not energy from here to Victoria. Get off it. It's data from here to Victoria. It's energy from here to King Island. Do you really think Mariners cares if the lights go out for us? No, they couldn't care less. Why should they care? You don't put food on their table. You don't have to put it on their table willingly. They just take it. For the longest time, everyone was worried about the Japs and the Chinese and these and those people and them people, and it's the fake Jews. It's the fake Jews with their little fucking porridge bowls on their head. And the fluffy hatted ones that have taken over entire villages all over the world. Having 9, 11 kids living on welfare as immigrants. Anchor babies. She's Anchor Baby City. And Muslims are the problem. They're not Muslims, people. This cat's retarded. Don't eat the book. Beats me. It'll fall off the table now. What do you got there? Tissue. What was that? Look at this thing. What you doing, Panda? Oi! Tastes good? That cat's queer. That is the queerest cat in the planet. Oh. It's good to have a laugh, isn't it? Good to have a laugh. Good to have a laugh. You don't have a laugh. And what's the point, eh? What's the bloody point in it if you can't have a laugh? Crikey Moses. You alright? You alright, are ya? Aye. Typical bloody Manchester United supporter. Oh, toss and no fluff. We got problems, haven't we? It's the same gameplay, guys. It's the same script. Exactly. I guess it must work because they're doing it in 2 places at once.